Can I listen to the Qur'an while working out and studying?
So I get this question all the time, especially from you guys who tune into my study with me sessions. You see me playing the Qur'an in the background and you wonder, is that okay? And honestly, it's something I've thought a lot about too. So I figured, let's just tackle this head on for all of us. Is listening to the Qur'an while studying a genius move to get more blessings, or is it actually disrespectful? Let's find out. Okay, just imagine this for a second. You're at your desk, you've got a mountain of work, deadlines are breathing down your neck, and you are just drowning. You need something to calm you down, to help you focus. And you think, okay, I'll play the Qur'an. But right as your finger is about to tap the screen, you stop. This little voice pops into your head and goes, wait a minute, should I be doing this? Am I just treating the words of Allah like some study playlist? And that feeling, that hesitation, it usually comes from one very specific place. You remember that really powerful verse, the one that says, when the Qur'an is recited, you need to listen to it and be silent? And right then, a little bit of panic sets in. You start wondering if you're about to collect sins instead of blessings. If you've ever felt that way, then you're in the right place, because we're going to clear this up. All right, so let's get right to the heart of it. What do the actual scholars say about this? Is this permissible from a religious point of view? This is really where we need to dig into the context and the details. So this is the verse. This is the one right here from Surah Al-Araf. So when the Qur'an is recited, then listen to it and pay attention that you may receive mercy. Now, when you just read it like that, it sounds pretty black and white, right? But the real discussion among scholars is all about when the specific command applies. So you've got a couple of main interpretations here. On one hand, some scholars look at this verse and say it's an absolute command. That means whenever and wherever the Qur'an is being recited, it's a compulsory duty, what we call fudge, for absolutely everyone to drop what they're doing and just listen. But that's not the only view. In fact, it's not even the majority view. And here's the good news. The majority of scholars, they say it's permissible. They explain that the really strict command to be completely silent and pay full attention applies specifically to when the Qur'an is being recited in salah, in our formal prayers. Outside of prayer, listening is what's called mustahab. That means it's highly encouraged, and you definitely get rewarded for it, but it's not a compulsory duty. So no, you are not sinning by having it on while you're trying to get your homework done. This perspective really just reframes the whole thing, doesn't it? As many sheikhs, like Sheikh Yasser Qadhi, have pointed out, think about what you'd be listening to otherwise. Probably pop music, or distracting podcast, or just nothing. So having the Qur'an on, even if, say, 80% of your focus is on your work and only 20% is on the recitation, that still fills your room and your time with barakah, with blessing. It turns your study space into a place of remembrance. So we've got the green light from a religious standpoint. It's permissible. But this is where things get really cool. It's not just spiritually good for you. There's some amazing science that shows it might actually be one of the best study hacks out there for your brain. Let's talk about stress. You know that feeling when you're so anxious about an exam that you can't even think straight? Well, studies have actually shown that listening to Qur'an recitation can literally lower the amount of cortisol, that's your body's main stress hormone, in your system. It physically calms you down, which gets your brain ready to actually learn and remember things. You see, for any kind of deep work or real learning, what you want is to get your brain into what neuroscientists call an alpha wave state. Just think of it as the zone, you know? That perfect state where you're relaxed, but you're also super focused. It's the ideal mental space for learning new things. And get this, research has found that the beautiful rhythmic recitation of the Qur'an actually helps guide your brain into that perfect alpha state. And here's the key difference. Unlike music with English lyrics, which fights for attention with the part of your brain that you're using to read and write, the Qur'an's flow can smooth out your brainwaves and boost your focus without causing that mental traffic jam. Okay, so we've established it's allowed, and it's actually really good for our brains. So the question now is, how do we do it the right way, with the proper respect and etiquette? Well, that brings me to what I like to call the Halal study protocol. Don't worry, it's super simple. It's just a little 3-step checklist to make sure you're doing this in the best way possible. It all boils down to 3 key things: picking the right reciter, respecting the audio itself, and, this one's the most important, setting your intention before you start. First things first, your reciter. You want to pick someone whose voice is calm, steady, and melodic. The legends like Sheikh Mahmoud Khalil al-Hassari or Sheikh Mohammed Sadiq el-Minshawi are absolutely perfect for this. Their recitation style is so measured and soothing, it's literally the ideal sound to help your brain get into that focused alpha wave state we were just talking about. Step 2 is just about respecting the audio. Simple stuff, you know? Make sure the sound is clear, not crackly or distorted. Maybe put your phone or speaker in a clean, slightly elevated spot. And then step 3, the absolute game changer, your intention. Before you hit play, just take a second. Make the intention that you're playing this to bring blessings into your room, to ask Allah for help with your studies, and to find focus through His words. You're not just putting on background noise. That simple shift in mindset makes all the difference. So let's wrap this all up. What's the big takeaway for your next late-night study session? Here's the bottom line. Please do not let a fear of not being a perfect listener stop you from bringing the immense barakah of the Qur'an into your life. A study session filled with the words of Allah is always going to be better than one filled with distractions or just stressful silence. I really encourage you to try it. Tonight, just put on a calm recitation, keep the volume low, and just see how you feel. And that leads me to my question for all of you. Who is your go-to reciter when you have to study or focus? I'm genuinely curious to know your favorites. Drop their names in the comments below because you might just help someone else find the perfect voice for their next study session. Thanks for tuning in. Assalamu alaikum.
Can I listen to the Quran while working out and studying? Yes, you can.